excuse me. Test. Excuse me just a moment. If you're asking a question or you're putting your hand up and you're getting a mic from a steward, just be aware that the microphone will be on, so you just don't have to fiddle with it. So that's it. Sorry.
You're being bossed around. He thinks you're fiddling around with microphones. Actually, it's me.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 88th Annual General Meeting of the Royal Scottish Country Dance Society. Before we get underway, I have been asked to point out the fire exit there, and think one there and one behind you. If you do hear the fire alarm go, please make your way through the nearest door and assemble on the rugby field at the front of the building. I also have been asked to remind you that all delegates must have registered and picked up their papers at registration. So I would like to welcome all delegates and observers to this annual general meeting here in Perth, and we're extending a special welcome today to members coming to receive the Society's Scroll of Honour, which acknowledges their contribution to the work of the Society. As there are no matters being voted on this year which the Board consider contentious, we plan to proceed on the basis of a show of hands. If the vote is obviously conclusive, I will declare a result. In the event of the slightest doubt, there's a paper backup system ready, which will be brought into play. And with that, I am going to read out a message, which is somewhere here, from Buckingham Palace. And it says, "Please convey my thanks to the Management Board and members of the Royal Scottish Country Dance Society for their loyal greetings sent on the occasion of their 88th Annual General Meeting, which is being held as part of their annual conference weekend from the 3rd to 5th of November in Perth. As your patron, I was interested to know that members of the Society from across the United Kingdom and further afield will be attending this year's event. Your thoughtfulness in writing was much appreciated, and in return I send my warm good wishes to you all for a successful and enjoyable programme. Elizabeth R." We now come to the next page in my script. And that's the announcement of the Society's Scroll of Honour recipients. The presentation of the scrolls will take place this evening before the start of the ball, but I call upon Andrew Kellett, the Chairman-elect, to announce the names and the nominating branches of the recipients.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and I have great pleasure in announcing that this year the Society Scroll is being awarded to Roy Bain, nominated by Helensburgh and District Branch; Liz Donaldson, nominated by Washington DC Branch; Marilyn Healy, nominated by the Membership Services Committee; and Anne Kennedy, nominated by Sydney Branch. On behalf of you all, I'd like to congratulate the 4 recipients on receiving this award, and I'll take great pleasure in telling you a little more about their achievements this evening before the ball.
We come to item 4 on the agenda, which is the apologies. I have apologies from some past chairmen, Ruth Beattie, Irene Bennett and John Wilkinson. I also have a list of apologies from some branches, and they are The Hague, Manchester, Vancouver, Houston, Burlington, Ontario, Exeter and Tucson. Agenda item 5. These are the minutes of the meeting of the 5th of November 2016. And I should say, before we go on, as previously, with the exceptions of motions to the AGM, we ask only those proposing items on the agenda to come forward to speak. I will, however, announce the names and branches of both proposer and the seconder for each item. Delegates wishing to speak should raise a hand, and when called to speak should stand and wait for the roaming microphone before announcing their name and branch. So we're back to the minutes of the meeting. Are there any corrections to the minutes of 5th November 2016? In that case, I call upon Clive Warren Smith, Bristol branch, to propose the adoption of the minutes.
Clive Warren Smith, Bristol. I would like to propose that the minutes of the 2016 meeting are accepted as a true and accurate record of those proceedings.
And I will tell you that the seconder is Richard Austin over there on the bleachers, HQ member. And if there are no further comments on the minutes, can we then have a show of hands for adoption of the minutes? Those for? Thank you. Those against? Any abstentions? I declare, therefore, that the minutes of the meeting of the 5th of November 2016 are adopted as an accurate record, and I will now formally sign the minute book. Right, the next bit is the Society Chairman's report. And that also is somewhere in my bundle of papers, I hope. Here we are. Honorary President, delegates, members, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to see so many of you here today and pleased to give you a short report on RSCDS activities during the last year and to look forward to next year. Many of you will have attended the open forum and heard about progress with parts of the business plan which branches can most easily engage in and support. And I was very heartened to hear the good ideas from branches and from affiliated groups. Another aspect of our forward planning, especially dear to my heart, has been financial. Our Honorary Treasurer will talk about that in a moment, but the efforts of the Treasurer and the 12 Coats Crescent staff have resulted in a significantly better situation with regard to central costs, and I thank them. Priorities identified by the branches included improving our website and taking a long, hard look at our teaching qualification. Progress on the website is good. You will have heard Anselm Lingnow, the convener of MS, talk about that this morning perhaps. The basic structure is mapped out and a range of different users have been identified. With regard to teacher training, some adjustments have been made to the current syllabus and the design of a new alternative qualification, or perhaps even a joined up one, is well underway, with people from different regions of the world contributing their thoughts. You may have been here last night and noticed that there was a ceilidh going on in the other half of this hall. This again is a new initiative. We have a ceilidh working group and we're trying to do what's called more outward facing things for the community, and that involves trying to engage families and particularly young people in ceilidh dancing. We've been running RSCDS ceilidhs at the Celtic Connections Festival in Glasgow for a few years now, and we're doing another one this January. So if you are around, I think it's actually February. Is that right? February? Where's Bernie? February, thank you. This year. So if you're around, we'll keep you posted. And we're also hoping with the aid of Glasgow branch to run one on the 22nd of April in Oranmore, which is a very prestigious venue in Glasgow. This year, as many of you will know, we collaborated with HarperCollins, the publications firm, to produce a little book of Scottish dances. So I hope you've all bought a copy, because some old, some new, some different, and all of it very enjoyable. So we hope to continue in these sorts of partnerships and seek other opportunities. Our main events of the year, Winter School in Pitlochry, was very well attended. And I think my favourite thing was the musicians were in charge of devising the dance programmes. So there wasn't a dud tune anywhere. It was lovely. Spring Fling and Spring Fringe in Bonn were highly successful, attracting a record of 302 dancers. Summer School this year had 696 attendees, compared with 633 last year. And I can say from personal experience that week 3 was vibrant and exciting. All organisers of these events are to be congratulated heartily. Thank you very much, organisers. And a small thing, before I turn to the future, I need to answer 2 questions that Ada Boda asked at the 2014 AGM. Where are you, Ada? You're there, yes. I've replied personally to him on these matters, but for the record, they involved teachers' associations, which take many shapes and forms across the world. You should now note that all the teachers' associations who wish to be are now represented on the RSCDS website, and that the status of teachers' associations with regard to representation at the AGM is now consistent. And if you want any more detail, either ask Ada or come and see me later today. Looking to the future, we have an opportunity to engage with the Scottish Government in their current culture conversation, which they're attempting to form a culture strategy for Scotland. I'd urge you in your branches and in your affiliated groups to take the opportunity as a group to submit your views. We'll be sending you out a link and a discussion pack so that you can do this. Scottish culture has an impact far beyond Scotland, so wherever you dance, it's important that we convince the politicians that nurturing our tradition in the wider community in Scotland and elsewhere is an essential goal. Now, as many of you will know, Gillian Wilson, our previous executive officer, left for another post at the end of March. It's taken some time to select and appoint who I believe to be the right person for the job. Chris Milne, who's with us today, could you make yourself known, please, Chris? Thank you. Welcome. And during the 7 months of operating without an executive officer, I'd like to thank Andrew and particularly the rest of the trustees, but above all the staff at 12 Coates Crescent for their support and diligence, because they have kept the organisation going under quite difficult circumstances. I'd also like to thank my fellow members of the RSCDS for their continued commitment to Scottish country dance and their support of the society. You have to remember, you are the RSCDS. Thank you. We come to item 7 on the agenda, which are the trustees' annual report and accounts. To adopt these accounts and the report of the trustees, and to vote on the appointment of an auditor. We're just looking at the report of the trustees and the auditor. I'm going to hand over to Bill Cant, our treasurer. He'll give you a brief presentation on the annual report and the accounts for the year ending 31st of March 2017. Thank you, Bill.
Madam Chairman, Honourary President, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. It is my pleasure to present the Trustees' report and financial statements for the year ended 31st March 2017. However, before I start, and in case I forget at the end, I would like to put on record my thanks to the staff of 12 Coates Crescent, and especially the finance manager Sandra Parish and Cecile Haskell, who have done a great job in controlling costs over the year and continually looking for ways to improve the efficiency and reporting of the organisation, and especially, as Helen said, for their efforts since the departure of the executive officer. I have also received help and guidance from the Finance and Governance panel. At this AGM last year, I made an appeal for new members to refresh this panel, and we were almost inundated with expressions of interest, and we have been able to appoint Lizzie Condor, Linda Hartley and John Gibson over the course of the year. Accountants and actuaries and discussions around data protection. Just how exciting can these meetings become? Thank you all for your help. Any organisation, when they're reviewing their year-end numbers with accountants and auditors, are always thinking how these numbers will be viewed by the members or indeed shareholders. These results, which show a surplus for the year to 31st March of £28,000, are significantly better than the previous year, and they are also better than the budget that the management of the society were working to. You are bound to ask the questions, how has this improvement come about? Is it real? And will it continue? The trustees' report and financial statements is this 37-page document which has been available on the Society's website since August. Like last year, we've produced a shorter summary version which deals just with the financial numbers. However, I do recommend that you take some time to go onto the website, and particularly there's about 5 pages there of detailing the performance of the charity promoting Scottish country dancing and its many achievements during the year. Within the summary version, there is a 1-page schedule detailing, headed up detailed statements of financial activities, and it is that document that we're going to have a wee look at the present moment. The first line of the statement shows that the improved result is definitely not down as a result of is definitely not the result of donations and legacies. Quite the reverse. The number is down by 32,000 from the previous year. As a charity, we are always very pleased to receive donations and legacies, and we try to use them for the long-term development of the society, but we cannot afford to be dependent on them as a source of income. The investment income of the society was up, reflecting the good levels of dividends that we get from the Standard Life Wealth funds, where most of our investments are held. As many of you will be painfully aware, interest on our significant cash balances is very modest. 2 years ago, the AGM passed a motion to increase the subscription by £2. This year's accounts are the first to reflect that increase, and combined with the rigorous pursuit of branches by HQ, this gives a £20,000 increase in our income. What is reassuring about this increase is that we have not actually lost many paying members. Paying membership was down 108 in the year, and given that there are 158 branches, it is good to see that some of these branches must be growing. Income from summer school, now remember this is summer school 2016, was down slightly because there were a couple of large groups in summer school 2015, which is what the comparative figure is there. But very importantly, expenses, which are shown further down, hopefully at 244,000, were down as a result of tighter control of the number of teachers and expenses in general. After all, you would not expect the school's director, Jim Stott, an Aberdonian, to contemplate any unnecessary expenditure. Winter school, with Luke Brady in charge, showed a significant increase in income, and while the expenses, again shown below, were understandably up, the overall benefit was a significant increase. Overall, the performance of these two events improved the result by £40,000. I cannot emphasise enough the importance of a successful summer school to the financial well-being of the society. It accounts for almost half the gross income. Sales of CDs were down year on CDs, music, books were down year on year, reflecting new technology, downloading of individual tunes rather than the purchasing of CDs. This gives us an income from regular activities of 842,000 compared to 836 the previous year. Then in the 2016 column, you've got that infamous other income figure, which was basically the transfer from the unincorporated association to the company limited by guarantee. That brings us down to expenditure. We have dealt with the direct costs of summer school and winter school. Costs of sales were down in line with sales being down, and there were savings in exams and training. Further down, there was a further reduction in the cost of the magazine and less spent on special events and marketing. Support costs and governance show an overall increase of 25,000 compared to previous years. Staff costs were broadly in line with the previous year, while we spent more money on IT support. The cost of accounting support fell as Sandra Parish took more work in-house. The increase in miscellaneous expenses was largely VAT related, where we had a review of our VAT position, and that led us to believe that we may have a further exposure for VAT, and we made a provision while we review and finalise that situation. Governance costs show an overall reduction, with the audit costs of 2016 relating to this work in the conversion to the company limited by guarantee. That all takes us back to a surplus for the year of 28,671 compared to the deficit for the previous year of 14,722. Another big step in the right direction, but we have to continue to work to ensure we achieve a surplus of our income over expenditure on a regular basis. As usual, I've concentrated on our revenue account, but the final page, everybody's always relieved to get to the final page. The final page is a summary of our balance sheet. And at the top of the balance sheet, you have all these funds which the charity uses to manage its expenses. There's the general fund where most of the expenses in the summer school go through. There's the Jean Milligan Memorial Fund that supports young dancers and provides grants. The development fund is money that was left to us. Designated assets fund and the archivist there. What I've tried to do down below is to give you a wee bit more body of what these funds represent. Intangible assets would usually represent software or something like that. We wrote off the last of our remaining software during the year, but next year we will have an asset of some of the cost of the new website that we are building, and again we will depreciate that over time. The tangible assets, surprise, surprise, that's 12 Coates Crescent. The investments that we hold with Standard Life are investments with the General Fund and investments with the JMMM Fund. We've got comparatively small level of stock. We've got some debtors. We've got money deposited in a deposit account, and then we've got a lot of cash in the bank. The reason that we've got all that cash in the bank is at the 31st of March, everybody, or a tremendous number of people, have paid up for their summer school, the cost of their summer school, so that money is sitting in the bank. And then further down amongst our creditors, you will see the summer school prepayment sitting there, which will be paid out to St Andrews University, and that in the fullness of time. And that gives us overall a society with total net assets of £1.7 million. Briefly looking forward, the first 6 months of this financial year will reflect the result of the 2017 summer school, which Helen has alluded to, with the good numbers producing a higher income than summer school 2016 discussed here, and this results in a slightly higher surplus before overheads. In a separate effort to grow income from the society, we are very actively looking at letting out 2 of the basement rooms in 12 Coates Crescent, which are seriously underused at the present moment. Some money will have to be spent on refurbishment and replacement storage, but anticipated rental income should provide a useful additional income. In summary, the year to 31st March 2017 was a year when everything went well. There were no disasters. Not all years will be like this. There will be setbacks. However, I believe that the finances are moving in a more positive direction, but there is still work to be done to ensure that this improvement is built on and sustained. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Now, before I ask Bill to move to propose the adoption of this, there is an opportunity for you to raise points of clarification, ask questions, but can I remind you that each question should deal only with one point at a time, and that if anybody wants to speak, there is a rule limiting you to a maximum of 4 minutes, which will be applied. Does anybody have a question or a point of clarification for Bill? No? All right. I now call upon Bill. Oops, is there somebody?
Somebody raised their hand.
There's a hand. Okay, can we give the gentleman a microphone, please? Thank you. The chair recognises Chris Ronald, New York branch.
New York branch, and I'm also the delegate for New Jersey branch today. It's only my second time at an annual general meeting, but I have read the Treasurer's accounts for probably about the last 20 years, and I must say I was generally pretty depressed by the news that was in those accounts about one kind of deficit or another. And so I would just like to take this opportunity to commend our Treasurer and commend everyone else, especially headquarters staff, who were responsible for controlling costs as well as they seem to have done in the last year. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I can cope with that kind of question.
Is there anyone else who wishes to raise a point? Oh, there's a hand there. Ada? Which branch are you with at the moment, Ada?
Hawaii for a change.
Okay, Hawaii branch.
Yes. Thank you for your comment on my question from 3 years ago. But you were referring there to the Society website. Now, the Society website does not list just the teachers' associations which are affiliated to the Society, but it says that they are associated with Scottish country dancing, and they include CERTA. Could you just confirm that the teachers' associations, as mentioned in the trustee report, the three, I, TAC, TAS, and 88. Sorry. And that all three of them are affiliated to the society in accordance with the rules and procedures, Article 20 of the society.
Well, they're certainly all on the website. I would have to go, to be honest, and check to see that they are all affiliated, unless Mike knows differently. No? Okay. I will respond to you personally, Ada, and we'll make it a matter of record as well. Are there any other points of clarification? All right, I now call upon Bill Cant, our Treasurer from Dundee branch, to formally propose the adoption of the accounts and the report of the trustees and the auditor for the year ended 31st March 2017.
I would like, therefore, to propose that we adopt the trustees' report and financial statements of the Society for the year ended 31st March 2017.
And the seconder for this proposal is Bernie Hewitt from Dunfermline branch, who is over there. So this is your last chance now to make any comment to the Treasurer on the annual report and accounts. If there are no comments, I'd like a show of hands now. Those for adopting the annual accounts? Thank you. Those against? Any abstention? Then I'm pleased to declare that the Trustees' Annual Report and accounts to 31st March 2017 are duly adopted. The next item, item 8, is the appointment of the auditor. And again, I'm calling upon Bill, our Treasurer, Dundee branch, to propose the appointment of Alexander Sloan, Chartered Accountant, as auditor. Bill, would you like to do that?
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, Alexander Sloan Chartered Accountants had been the Society's accountants and auditors for many years. Last year, the decision was taken to separate the accounting and auditing functions. As a result, Henderson Logie Chartered Accountants were appointed to provide accounting support and VAT support, while Alexander Sloan continued as our auditors. This meant, or means, that Henderson Logie produced the financial report and supporting schedules, and Alexander Sloan audited the financial report. It is fair to say that the year-end process was not without its moments. It was certainly a learning curve for Henderson Logie, but throughout the process we received excellent support from Alan Cunningham and his team at Alexander Sloan. Thus, this ensured that the Management Board was able to approve and sign the Trustees' report and financial statements on the 1st of July as scheduled. Therefore, I would like to propose that the Society reappoints Alexander Sloan Chartered Accountants as the auditor.
And this is seconded by Trevor Clark, Northwest Craven branch, who's over there. Thank you, Trevor. Can we have a show of hands, please, those for the appointment of Alexander Sloan as our auditor? Thank you. Those against? Any abstentions? Thank you. I confirm, therefore, that Alexander Sloan Chartered Accountants are duly appointed as the auditor for the coming year. Item 9 on the agenda is the election of Management Board and Management Committee members. I think all the votes are now in, and I will announce who has been elected to serve in the various positions. On the Management Board, Linda Gall, Teresa McVarish-Clark and Sue Ronald are confirmed as board members for 3 years. David MacDonald and Paul Yulton are confirmed as members for 1 year. In Membership Services Committee, Peter Knapman is confirmed as convener-elect of the Membership Services Committee. And there should be 2 ordinary members. Yes, there they are. And ordinary members of the Membership Services Committee are Peter Avery and Angela Young for 3 years. We come to Education and Training Committee, and Deborah Leary and Anne Taylor are confirmed as members for 3 years. And in the Youth Services Committee, Olga McIntosh is confirmed as a member for 3 years. So we welcome those people and heartily congratulate them. Well done. And if you are present here and you've just been elected to something, can I remind you there'll be a short meeting for all committee members, including the new people, on Sunday morning, tomorrow morning at 9:30 in Cafe Active. So come in through the front door and find your way, go left and then upstairs, and the rest of us will meet you there 9:30 tomorrow morning. We come to the only motion on the agenda today. This is item 10. On membership subscription. Now, I've been given the job of proposing this. So my branch is York and North Humberside, and I'm going to propose this motion on behalf of the Management Board. The Management Board proposes that for the year from 1st July 2018, the basic full annual subscription shall be maintained at £20, and that other memberships will be based pro rata on this amount. This motion is going to be spoken to and seconded by Bill Cant. Thank you, Bill.
Ladies and gentlemen, in my earlier presentation, you have seen the beneficial impact of the previously agreed £2 increase in the subscription to £20 per annum has had on the finances of the Society. Therefore, and despite the inflation rate in the UK currently running at 3%, I would like to second the motion that the Management Board proposes that the annual basic subscription should be maintained at £20.
And at this point, I would invite any comments or questions from the floor. Nobody? Okay. Because there aren't very many constitutional implications here, this motion will be carried or fall in a simple majority. And I have to declare at this point that I hold 97 proxies in favour of the motion. And I also hold 1 vote against the motion and 1 abstention. So I think we could possibly go with a show of hands for this. Can we have a show of hands, please, those in support of the motion? Thank you. Against? 1 against? Okay. Thank you, Liz. And any abstentions? So I have great pleasure in declaring that the motion has been carried and that the subscription fee rate will remain unchanged. I think we're coming towards the end of this quite short agenda, and I call upon Liz Douglas, New Zealand branch, who was one of our wonderful recappers and MCs last night, to give the vote of thanks.
Hello again. I'd like to begin by giving thanks to the management and staff here at the Bells Sports Centre, the RSCDS Coates Crescent staff, and Lorna Ogilvie and Eleanor Crichton, who are the local organisers of the 2017 AGM weekend. Thanks are also due to the chairman of the meeting, Helen Russell, for the running of yet another cracking meeting, as well as Andrew Callett, Malcolm Brown, and Alison Lingnau for leading the morning Q&A sessions. Thanks also to the Education and Training Committee for organising the teaching conference, Ian Muir for tomorrow's music talk, and Alan McPherson for the RSCDS archivist for the archive display. Thanks must also go to the demonstration dancers, including all the children from local schools. A big thank you goes out to the Triple Trouble Ceilidh Band and Pierre Walker, the Ceilidh Caller for Friday's Ceilidh, the Scott Band for Friday's dance, and the Colin Dewar Band for Saturday's ball. Thanks must also go to our fabulous MCs, Heather Cowan and yours truly, for the Friday night, and Angela Young and William Williamson for the MCing of tonight's ball. Thank you to the New Zealand branch for compiling the dance program, and Clackmann and Share branch for compiling the ball program. Thanks also go to Sam Gifford for setting up the sound system, and our fabulous stewards. Thank you also to Andrew Nolan for the teaching Saturday class, and music by George Meikle. Also to David Queen for teaching tomorrow's class, with music by Roger McAndrew. Lastly, a huge thank you goes to you, the delegates, for attending the 2017 AGM, and hope to see you all again next year.
The next item on the agenda is to confirm the date of the next annual general meeting and conference weekend. Well, the annual general meeting will be on Saturday, the 3rd of November 2018, here in Perth, in the Bell Centre, and I look forward to seeing you here. The meeting's now concluded. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your weekend. Possibly undo the top of that for me, thank you. And it came to the point where I didn't come anymore because it was the same people saying the same things. And, you know, Ian doesn't come anymore because he, I'm just going to put in his. They'll be lost now. We've got to find a couple of hours of sightseeing before IT. So good finding it. Because, I was once, I went to the one in Kew, and people had to leave